So welcome back to a new Game Stuff episode. And I just want to say that I'm filming this before the PlayStation VRs come out, before Tomb Raiders come out on the PlayStation 4, before Gears of War come out, before Dragon Quest Builders has come out. I just wanted to talk about these games before I get into all that stuff in the future, which would be the past now. But it doesn't matter. I thought I'd just start off with the very first game, and that is Paper Mario Color Splash. This is a surprise. This is a game that I had no idea would be this wonderful. I'm serious. And let me say that Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is the last Paper Mario game I played. And I love the RPG elements and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people were saying when I reacted to the Nintendo Direct about this game, because I said, oh my god, this looks fantastic. And people are saying, oh no, they dropped the RPG elements. They started that with the DS game. And it kind of deflated me, but I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to give the game a shot. And let me say, I've read all of the reviews out there. It's very, very positive. I sat and played the game for quite a few hours, and let me say, this game is a beautiful, beautiful game for the Wii U to set sail on. It is gorgeous. It is beautiful. It is wonderfully playing. Man, did they ever get this right. Yes, they've dropped a lot of the RPG elements. It doesn't feel like an RPG anymore. Even though there is combat in the game and you use cards to do combat. The unusual thing is that you have to use your gamepad to do combat, in that you have to, select your cards in combat and flick them and, color them and stuff like that to do it. So I'm always looking down. That's the only downside to the game, is I'm always looking down and going, oh, and then having to look back up. That's the only thing. But the storyline is really cool, that Mario, gets a letter one day and has to go and research where this letter came from. That there seems to be some place that is removing all of the color from the world, and it's really unusual. And you get there and then you find a paint can and you team up with him, and you get into the actual game itself. And let me just say, the world, I just want to talk about the environments are the most beautiful environments I've ever seen in a Paper Mario game. They've gotten the Paper Mario look perfectly over the years, but this game is probably the best looking Paper Mario game I've ever seen, and one of the nicer looking games on the game, I was going to say the GameCube, on the Wii U. It just blew my mind. The animation, the story, the music, everything comes together in this package. And there's combat in the game, collecting items, collecting coins, buying items. There's some RPG elements, but it doesn't feel like an RPG. But it is open world in the sense that you can go in many different directions, solve a lot of different kinds of puzzles in a lot of the different kinds of ways that you would want to. And I am absolutely blown away by Paper Mario Color Splash. I thought it was going to be good, but I didn't think it'd be this good, and it really lives up to the love that I had for Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. It really is in the same vein for me. I can honestly say that. Now, when I was a younger guy in the Genesis days, I played a goddamn insane, hard, but fun video game, and that was Target Earth. And I loved Target Earth. I did. You could use mech suits, and it was side view, and that's what I've said it before, that I was just happy to use mecha in a video game back then. And I like the opening sequences of it, and I like the music. The music will always haunt me to this day. I tried to find Target Earth. It's somewhere here, and I cannot find it. I've been looking for it because I want to talk about this new one, which is Assault Suit Levis. And it is a remake of Target Earth. And that's just a surprise. And the first time I really heard about this was Joe from GameSack, another great show on YouTube. He had imported the Japanese version of this, and I never thought we were going to get an American version of it. I never thought they were going to release it over in the West, but it finally came. Assault Suit Levis is finally released, and it's a budget title. It looks like a budget title. It does, but it's a lot of fun. It's hard. It's hard like the old Target Earth used to be, so it's following vein. But I had a lot of fun playing this the other night and reminiscing about Target Earth. And Target Earth is one of those weird games that I played, and over the years, nobody ever talks about Target Earth. And I understand it's one of those games that's punishing. It's really tough. I never finished the original game ever, and I tried so hard, but I'm really enjoying this game a lot. Now, here we go. Oh, look at this. I love how right on the cover it's got Resident Evil 7 released on January 24th, 2017. A few days after my birthday. That's the virtual reality game. But let's go back to the past here. And this is Resident Evil 4, one of the biggest games I could have ever played on the GameCube. And the hype for this game was huge. But the one thing I gotta say about Resident Evil 4 is when you play the game, it lived up to the hype. I love this game so much. It was just an incredible journey. It really was. And this game, when I think of what Resident Evil is to me, it's obviously the first game, but Resident Evil 2 is very Resident, that's what I really resonate to. But 3 was good as well. But 4, to me, is the epitome of what Resident Evil is. So if somebody said, "Hey, knock on the door, what's Resident Evil?" I'd be like, "Here you go. This is it." And I think a lot of people are confused by Resident Evil 7, and they're saying it doesn't really seem like this game or 2, or even like the first one to a certain extent. And I think I figured out Resident Evil 7 now. I think everybody was so excited about the PC demo. Remember, by Konami, everyone's like, "Oh, this looks amazing," that Capcom was like, everybody likes this. We should do something like that. And that's why we have Resident Evil 7. But it's not about Resident Evil 7. It's about Resident Evil 4. I haven't cracked the seal. I don't know if I'm going to. I've already finished this game on the GameCube. But just great to have it again. And it was cheap. I got it off Best Buy for really cheap, $24 or something like that. Now, here's a game. A lot of people will be like, why did you buy this? Why did you get this? And I have a very good reason why. Battlefront. First of all, I got it for $24 at my local EB used. I bought it used. I didn't buy it new. The reason why I bought this game is, first of all, I do like Star Wars. I didn't like the Seasons Pass stuff. I really hated that. I still do. I'm not into that. But, around the corner, we got PlayStation VR coming out with the X-Wing Rogue One mission. And if you own this game, it's a free add-on type of thing. So I'm like, I've got to do virtual reality X-Wings in space. As me, I cannot not do that. If I didn't do that, that would be a crime to my life. So that's why I picked up this. It's because of the Star Wars VR game, the X-Wing game. I want to be in an X-Wing. I want to finally experience that. I've been dreaming about it since I was a kid. So if I can do that, then this is my small investment into it. I will do it. Now here's a game that I've been looking forward to, and let me say that the fourth game, the first fourth game, this is the second, and this is Shin Megami Tensei 4: The Apocalypse. This is the sequel to the first DS game, which is a main game in the Megami Tensei series. What shall I say about this? I like the music a lot more than I liked in the first version of this game, or the part 1 I'll call this part 2 and the part 1. I like the music a lot more in this game. I don't know why I resonate to this game a little bit more. I don't know why. I'm only a few hours into this game, and man, I was playing it one night and I was like, I was getting such a headache. I was doing so much reading, and that's a funny thing. I was playing it in 3D, and the 3D looks really good, but I'm starting to notice that the 3D really kind of wears on me a little bit. It may be because I'm getting older. I can handle that for sure, but I was going to say a lovely game, but it's a wonderful game. I love the character designs. I love all the designs in it, and I had to pick this up, and I will spend a lot more time with it because I have to. Oh, something before I go on this, something else I want to mention is if you pre-ordered it, you got these cool little pins with it. Isn't that awesome? And another little secret that I want to bring out is if you bring out this, look at the inside artwork in there. Super wonderful. Now, this was an expensive game to pick up. It really is on the DS, especially in Canada. Canada video game prices are ridiculous. But I thought to myself, if I don't grab it now, you know, and I'll tell you this, sometimes if you don't grab games when they first come out and you wait, they'll disappear and then they suddenly become super rare and twice as expensive. So sometimes you just have to gamble and just grab it right away. And this is the game that I grabbed, Sega 3D Classics Collection on the 3DS. And there's a lot of great games on here, like Altered Beast and Super Thunderblade, Power Drift, Sonic the Hedgehog, Galaxy Force, and I want to say that playing these games in 3D was a trip because they're old games, and it's so nice that they can do conversions on older games and make them look as good as they do in these. And some of these are arcade games and some of them are the Genesis versions, but I had a lot of fun with this and I'm really happy I picked it up. I'm such an old school Sega fan, and I really love these old arcade classics. I had the most fun playing Power Drift. I was like, oh my god, it was so cool playing it in 3D. It reminded me of when I saw it in an arcade, where it's a sit-down, cabinet, and you'd actually, you'd be in a racing car itself, and there was a huge monitor back in the day, and it moved, and it really felt like you were going on this, in this huge race. And the 3D for some reason gave me that feeling, and I really like this, and I highly recommend it to any Sega fan. And I know there's a few different versions in Japan of this series, and hopefully we get some more, but pick this up. I have a funny feeling it's going to get rare. And another game that we've been interested in, me and Kim, more so Kim, and that is Yokai Watch 2. This the sequel to obviously the first Yokai Watch, and that got okay reviews, but this game is supposed to be a lot better. Kim has almost finished Dragon Quest VII. We've really played the hell out of that game, and she's looking for a game after that, and I think this game is going to be right up her alley. Level 5, she's a huge Level 5 fan, and so am I. I love Level 5, and to be honest with you, I'm not holding any reservations with this game. I'm just kind of like saying, let's see what it's all about. And it's Kim's going to be the one who's going to be playing it, that's for sure. So, okay, now we move on to some movies that I picked up. And some of these are fantastic. And please wait for it. There's a couple of real big surprises in here. First up, by Shout Factory, Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Collection. Now, a kid of the 80s like myself, I loved Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The second one I liked, but the first one I really resonated to. And I already had the Blu-ray of this, and so it was not a big deal. But Shout Factory put so many goddamn special features on this, I had to pick it up. I really did. And I sat and watched them all the other night, and I'll be dead honest here. Unbelievable. Like, there's an in-depth documentary into the making of this that is so awesome. If you're a fan of these movies, I mean, it's like a movie into itself. And this is a lot of why I picked up some of these, is I love behind the scenes in movies. I'm a huge fan of that. I like to see the story of what was really going on. And I just want to say something unusual about this, first of all, is that Keanu Reeves is fucking awesome. He is the fucking man, and the reason why there's so many documentaries and stuff like that on movies, and the big stars never show up. They never show up. They're too cool for that now. But Keanu Reeves is right back. You can tell he's such a fan of the movie and of the people he made the movie with, and he's such a wonderful guy. I love him. He's so real, and that's one thing that made this so great, is his input into it all and what he was thinking back then. And quite literally, he's the biggest star of this, and some of the other people are not, which is okay. But he supports them by coming back and does this great documentary and so many special features, guys. I think if you're a fan of this, pick it up. Absolutely. Now, this is no surprise. This is my second favorite movie of all time. Second or third, between Big Trouble, Little China, and this one. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, another Shout Factory disc, and another one I had to get for the documentary and the special features. And the documentary is awesome. What can I say? If you like Buckaroo Banzai, it's just like Bill and Ted's. If you like the movie, you want more, and you don't want like a little bit more. Like the amount of features added onto these discs is worth the price. Honestly, really good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna get into this one in a second. Another behind the scenes movie that a great friend of mine, Joel, sent to me. This is the special edition of Just Desserts, the making of Creepshow. Now, This is Creepshow is a great old, if you haven't seen it, look up Creepshow, go and check it out for Halloween, you'll love it. It is some creepy little stories, and that's what it is, a movie compilation of little stories, and check that out if you haven't seen it. That's a good Halloween recommendation to you guys, but this is an entire documentary, the entire disc, on the making of the movie, and all the process of making it, hiring the actors, Stephen King, his involvement in it, which is everything. Stephen King wrote all of this, and he also acts in one of the cooler little, compilation movies within this. Highly recommend this. I sat one night and I absolutely loved it, and I want to thank Joel for sending it to me. He was ordering one for himself, and he thought, hey, I think John might absolutely love this, and he was right. I really did, and I want to thank you again for this. Really, really cool. Okay, I know I got a couple of movies going on here. This was on Netflix about 3 years ago, and it was one of the best documentaries I've seen in years. It really was on Jim. I can never pronounce his name. Jim Wynorski. It's about him. He's a great B movie director. He's directed so many incredible movies like Chopping Mall and hundreds of them. I mean, he's made so many goddamn movies for low budget. He's a legend. But I didn't know a lot about him before this documentary, and I watched it on Netflix about 3 years ago, and I loved it. I was like, this is the best documentary I've ever seen. And then I wanted to check it out, and I couldn't find it anymore, and I looked everywhere, and I couldn't find it, and so I finally went to the website, and it's called Papatopoulos. I finally figured out where the name came from, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. And what it is the documentary follows this great director, Jim, as he's directing a B movie in 3 days. And it is hilarious. Me and Kim watched this again last night, and we were laughing so hard, dude. Like, I mean, there's so many funny scenes in this. Like, just the way he directs, I can't tell you enough. Like, honestly, track this movie down and watch it. So I couldn't find the goddamn movie. Couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, where the hell do I even get this movie? I went to the website, papatopoulos.com, and there was like a little button, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I clicked the button, and it says, order through PayPal, $15. I'm like, okay. I'm like, how old is this website? Is anybody even still there? And I ordered it, and I'm like, I hope they ship it out. I don't know what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden I got confirmation the next morning that it had shipped. I'm like, oh, okay, there's still people there, that are shipping this out. So thank God that gets shipped out. And it arrived, and I gotta say, I was totally thrilled that the director of the documentary wrote in here, and he goes, John, pop some tops, my friend, CW. And that was a good surprise. That's so wonderful when you order a DVD and the director writes in it. I was so blown away. I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled to buy the DVD. And pop some tops, my friend. Well, it comes from the documentary, and Jim Wynorski, when he tells the girls to take off their tops, he goes, "Pop those tops." It's pretty funny. And run you fucking monks. That's another great line from this documentary. But I'm putting it up to you guys right here. You've got to check this documentary out. I don't know, do whatever you can to find it. I think it's on Amazon and iTunes, and really funny. Pop some tops. Now, I picked this up, and this is Raiders, the story of the greatest fan film ever made. And this is the Blu-ray version. I haven't opened it up yet. I am going to. And it follows, this is a great documentary. This is a wonderful documentary. How have I seen it? Well, I didn't open this up because it's on Netflix. I didn't know it was gonna show up on Netflix. So I ordered the Blu-ray thinking that was the only way I get a chance to see it. So me and Kim watched the Netflix version, and it was great. There's way more special features on the Blu-ray, so I'm gonna check that out later. If any of you guys have never heard of this, you can check it out on Netflix right now. Just go check it out. It's so great. It's about a bunch of kids in the 80s that shot for shot did Raiders of the Lost Ark themselves, the kid version. but you can't believe it. You won't believe it until you see this stuff. You can't believe what these kids did. And yeah, it's so inspiring. I got little shivers here. It's so inspiring, the passion that these kids did, recreating Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, shot for shot, with such love, such passion, and they did it on VHS. And, you know, they did it not for any money, just because they love the movie so much. And it really, really comes through. And I can't recommend this enough. It's on Netflix. Check it out. I love being able to just recommend on Netflix. Like, check this out. It's really, really good. Couple more Blu-rays, and I'm nearly done. Metal Storm: The Destruction of Jared Sin in 3D. Now, what's interesting about this is a 1980s 3D film, meaning that you put on the red and blue glasses back then and watched it in the theater. And I saw quite a few of those in the theater, and I have never seen this movie. It is a real 80s, ridiculously awesome movie, but I've never seen it. I've heard so many good things about it. Where what's neat about this one is they've remastered this Shout Factory. I think this is this is Shout Factory as well. The great thing is they've remastered this, and they've also made it so you can watch it in 3D on your 3D TVs now. I have a 3D TV, so I want to see this 1980s movie in real 3D now. They've done a conversion on it, so I can't wait to see that. It should be pretty cool. Oh, here we go. Mobile Suit Gundam, Char's Counterattack. One of the greatest Gundam films that I could recommend. I love this movie more than anything. It's more a product of the 80s and where I was at in the 80s watching anime. It's the end of the Gundam, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam timeline. Or I should say storyline. And this is a great way to end it. It ends with a lot of mystery that's still never really been answered to this day. It kind of has been hinted about. I don't want to ruin it for you, but the animation is really gorgeous, and it's hard to... I want to recommend it because I have. It's in my top 10 anime films of all time. It's hard to recommend in a sense of the way that it kind of just throws you into the story. So if you don't know any of the characters, you're like, what the hell is going on? I thought about that afterwards. I was like, I love this movie, but it's probably hard for another audience just to jump in, not knowing much about Gundam. So I would recommend doing some research before you see this movie. That always sounds so terrible to say, but it's a beautiful 80s movie. And I watched it, oh God, it must be about 2 weeks ago now. And it just took me back. And the animation and on Blu-ray now looks just so great. I'm ending with a manga, and I'm ending with a big manga. Look how big this is. Look how huge this is. And this is called Blame. And this is the first edition, Blame. And I was in a kind of DVD Blu-ray manga warehouse. Yes, there is one of those in Vancouver, and you have a special code to enter the warehouse. I've been going there for, oh God, for 16 years now. They're more of a distributor, I should say. And so you walk in and it's humongous. And so there's a huge manga section. And I saw this. And I'll be dead honest with you. I don't read a lot of manga these days. I really don't. I want to, but I don't. I don't find I have enough time to do everything that I'd like to do. But this was sitting up on the shelf, and I got it, and I flipped through, and I'm like, oh my God. This is really cool. This is like... Yeah, so I went back to the warehouse. I went back about a week later, and I was looking through, and I'm like, yeah, where is this? We couldn't find it for the longest time. They finally were able to... oh, it's over here. It was like hidden way away. And I picked it up, and it's expensive. This was $40 Canadian. How much is it American? American, it's $34. That's expensive. I don't care what anybody says for a manga. That's a lot of money. But I saw something in this that I was like, I must read this. So I sat down on my patio, and this is like 300 plus pages, and I had a cup of coffee. I read the whole manga in one sitting. One sitting, I finished this, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. But would I recommend it? I don't think so. What a strange thing to say. I enjoyed my experience with this. I love the storyline. It's about a guy in a great underground complex, like huge, so far under the ground that nobody really knows how far underground they are. And there's many different societies that live in this underground world. And nobody even knows that there's a surface. Nobody has ever seen the surface. And everybody's counting levels. Like, it's a huge construct of just machinery and stuff like that everybody lives in. And this is just the world that they grew up in. And it's thousands of levels, and nobody's ever seen the top, and nobody's ever seen the bottom. And it's about him making his way through it and encountering all the different people and societies and monsters and robots that are out to kill him and all that. And he's looking for some genetics, some kind of like old school genetic samples or something. It's never really explained too well. And so he's going all the way through this complex world, and it's cool. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. I found there was some really amazing moments in here. There's some moments where, like, the amount of levels are so crazy in this underground world that he encounters a race of like a people, but he shows up and they think he's a child because they're all like giants. They're double his size, I should say. And it's so strange that there's so many different kinds of worlds and societies and lives down in this underground hell. It's an underground hell. It really is. But it just feels a lot of the same old, same old. I read all of these pages, and let me say, there's not a lot of writing at times. There's a lot of pictures, and there's a lot of just action, a lot of shooting and exploding, and it's always one of those. He's walking, something shows up, he pulls out his gun, he shoots them, they explode, and lots of shootings, of them trying to shoot him. That's really what it is over and over and over again. But I enjoyed my experience with it, but I wouldn't recommend it. And that's my interesting thing. I don't know if I could recommend it. I enjoyed the experience myself. I really loved it, but I don't know if anybody else would get as much out of it as I did. I saw a lot more in here than I think they even meant to have there. It's weird, it's eerie, it's strange, and I hadn't read a good manga in a long time, and for me personally, it was everything that I wanted. It really, really was. It reminded me of the 80s manga and even 90s manga to an extent, and I really love this. So, well, okay, we're at the end of another new game stuff episode. Sorry guys, it took a long time to go. There was a bunch of movies that I did want to recommend because there's a lot of great stuff. I usually never get that many movies. There's usually not that much cool stuff coming out, but it's October time, so it's all happening at once. So anyways guys, until next time.